Aotearoa New Zealand is a step closer toward a Smokefree 2025. Now the Smokefree bill passed its third and final reading in Parliament last night. The Smoke-Free Environments and Regulated Products Amendment Bill will create a tobacco-free generation by making it illegal to sell tobacco to those born from 2009 and restricts the number of retailers. We are joined now by Andrew Waa of Ngāti Hine, Ngāpuhi, who is a lecturer in public health at the University of Otago. Andrew, ngā mihi o te wā kia koe, and thank you for joining us today. Look, we know that this legislation has been a long time coming, a monumental achievement for generations of tobacco control advocates, if you like. How groundbreaking is it? Is New Zealand setting a precedent?
Oh, absolutely. I think this is absolutely groundbreaking. There's no other country in the world that comes close to this legislation. So this really signals an end to tobacco in Aotearoa. So I think it's absolutely precedent setting, especially being led by Indigenous peoples as well.
Absolutely. How confident are you that these reforms will help make it less likely for rangatahi to get addicted to cigarettes?
I think I'm very, very confident because it essentially makes the cigarettes not at all addictive. It makes it hard to get hold of, as well as the smoke-free generation where it limits, will mean people born after 2009 won't be able to buy it. So I just think it's really essential to protect our rangatahi, and this is a really, really important measure to do that.
With 2025 drawing close, how soon will these reforms begin to be implemented and what will that look like?
Well, I think the smoke-free generation policy is set to start on the 1st of January 2027. The rest of them are sort of dependent on when it gets royal assent. So 21 months, just under 2 years for reducing the number of retail outlets from currently around 6,000 to 600. And then about 27 months for the very low nicotine cigarettes to be introduced. So it's only a few months between all these measures coming into place. So it'll be quite a quick succession.
Kia ora. Can you give us an idea of what sort of resourcing is needed to help with quit services towards a smoke-free Aotearoa?
Well, I think, first and foremost, I'd say our quit services are really fantastic. They're world leading. I think as we come closer to, the 2027, there'll be a lot of concern around smokers or smokers wanting to quit, and some of them will quit on their own, but there'll be a large number who need support. So ramping up our support, more cessation services for on-the-ground support, as well as things like the quit line, any other thing that really works just to help smokers, people who smoke, get through this period.
And how best can Māori be supported through this transition?
Well, I think we've got fantastic Māori-led services, so some whānau-led services. I think making sure, as whānau, we're supportive of our whānau who smoke in there, so making sure that, their needs are met, any concerns. I think making sure that we're aware of what services are out there to support us as well. Iwi are really behind these measures. They've been behind the measures since it first started. So I think we just need to keep our eyes out for our whānau who smoke.
Sure. Well, look, this law is groundbreaking. It's setting a precedent. What are the generational impacts of these reforms going to be?
Well, I think within we could reasonably confidently say that this is the last generation of people who will smoke cigarettes. In the following generations, we can see that our research tells us that the rates of smoking will drop to below 5% for all groups. That's equitable. I think there might be a small number of people who might try to grow their own, all those sorts of things. But I think smoking is will probably be a thing of our past, and that's certainly what we hear from our rangatahi when we talk to them. They obviously are talking about things like vaping.
Sure. Look, a measure to remove almost all nicotine from cigarettes, making them less addictive, will also come into effect. Will this include vaping?
No, not at the moment. The legislation, the main reference to vaping is about notifying who is selling vapes, which is a good start. I mean, there was a lot of people raised the issue around the explosion of vaping in our communities, and there's been recent concerns raised around high nicotine content in our vapes as well. So I think this is the next thing we need to address, and this is certainly what's concerning our rangatahi at the moment.
Is vaping another can of worms, per se, with, considering quite a lot of it has nicotine in them?
I think there's a lot of diverse opinions, and we've got to respect all those opinions. I think it's for people who can't quit. I think it's probably a good alternative, even as a quitting tool. But for our young people, I just think it's quite bad news. We need to protect them because this stuff will be addictive, and they'll be addicted for life. So I do think we need to sort of turn, and a lot of our politicians brought that up in their speeches around the legislation as well.
Ka pai. Well, your advocacy has definitely helped Aotearoa get to this point. You and your colleagues, of course, and you all should be congratulated for it. Tēnei te mihi atu kia koe, Andrew Waa of the University of Otago. Have a safe and enjoyable holiday. Ngā mihi nui kia koe. Tēnā koe.
Kia ora.